Rogue transmission incoming. Connected.
Welcome to Rogue and Blasted podcast. This week we have with us James.
Hello, everyone.
A well-timed drink of water there, James. And we also have Matt.
Just lubricating.
Hello.
Yeah.
Very important to lubricate the larynx. Hello.
Already.
Do you want to start that again?
No, that's all staying in.
No,
yeah, lovely. Thank you for that. And we also have our tech priest, Dan.
Hello. How's it going?
We don't have Connor with us this week. He's off on his primary mission of bingo calling. So we'll touch in with him next time. So, Dan, you have got a Grimdark Would You Rather for us.
We do. So the first one up, would you rather slap an Imperial Guard commissar or give a wedgie to an orc, but then you have to deal with the consequences?
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
That's a good one.
Oh.
Should we start off with... Let's get James first, because I can see him really thinking this through.
But I think I'd go for the wedgie on the orc because there's a chance he'd just see it as some top bants and would respect
High
me
five
for
you,
it.
then punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas the commissar, I think there's only one way that's ending, and it's not going to be good.
Firing squad. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's some good logic there. I like it.
What about you, Matt? Yeah, go on.
I would 100% slap that commissar just to see the look on his face before he sent me to the squad. Just to see the look of just utter, what just happened? Did he just slap me? You know, that just for that moment, I would 100% slap him.
Yeah.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe a backhander as well. Just a papa. Slapping him
Yeah,
twice.
this is turning into full-on
Well, why
beatdown
not?
from
You're going
Matt.
out, so...
So I think Matt went with try and kill the commissar by
Yeah.
the end of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's probably do
Yeah,
it.
Matt's point of view is very sort of Vietnam era, like, well, things happen in battle. Grenades get dropped.
True.
Yeah.
Make that 5 up cent.
Steve?
Yeah, I've just been weighing this. So this is one where I know for a fact if Connor was here, he'd have a lot of questions about the context. So is there just one
Yeah,
orc, or are we in like an orc den?
Am I an orc?
Yeah. Am I Tau or am I orc? Or, what floor am I on? Oh no, that was last week. So I think just without much more context, I think I'd have to slap the commissar. A couple of reasons why. One, if you're in the regiment, you'd probably want to do that anyway. That'd give you a lot of satisfaction. And then with the orc wedgie, I see that there's like a chance that he could maybe think it was top bants. But I think if you're giving an orc a wedgie, it's just you're in a bad situation, whatever. Whereas with the commissar, there's always...
But also assuming orcs wear underwear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Could
That
be
could be a
commander.
horrible... Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And also, orc underwear, if it exists, might just come
Pretty
right off in
grim.
your hand, and then you're just left with... So, yeah, whereas if you slap the commissar, there's... Depending on how you do it, I mean, if you're Matt and you're just stood there beating him up for 10 minutes, he's going to know. But there's a small chance where if you just give him a quick slap, he might not even believe that it's happened until, and then if you disappear into the ranks quick enough, he might not recognize you or know who you are.
Might not really, yeah.
So you did the thing like he sat at the canteen table and you just walk past and slap the back of his head or something and just keep going.
Yeah, maybe.
Knock his hat off.
Yeah.
And let's face it, the average lifespan of a Imperial Guardsman is not particularly long anyway, so...
No, it's about 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah. But they would remember you for forever.
Yeah, you'd go
I
down
feel
in
like the
history.
regiment would have a detail of
Yeah.
You'd be a hero.
doing,
That's true.
well, for doing either of those things.
Would you rather spend 50 hours painting one model or paint 50 models in a day? You either have to spend 50 hours painting the one single model, like ridiculous high standard, or you've got one day to paint 50 models.
So are you batch painting furiously, or are you entering Golden Demon?
Basically,
that's a model every 50 minutes.
Easy.
Should we start
Black
with Steve?
Templars.
Do I have to build them?
No, that wasn't included. Just paint.
Just paint. If it's just paint, I think I'd probably take the batch painting.
Okay.
I'm not very good at sitting for 50 hours on one model.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, and I just would get lost in the process. Yeah. Give me the batch painting. As long as I don't have to build them, because that adds a lot of pain.
Fair.
I can see Matt nodding. Agreement?
Yeah.
Agreement?
I hate building. It's the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
But no, 100%. I would sink 50 hours into a single model.
How would you?
Trying to batch paint 50 things in one day would drive me up the wall. But the thought of pouring my creative energies into one model, I think, would be quite rewarding for me at this stage.
Well, just a quick side note. Sorry, we'll come to James in a second. Quick side note. Why? I think that's fairly common for painters to not enjoy building. Why do you think it is? Because it's, in theory, it's part of the hobby.
It's got a building element. Yeah, absolutely. And I have no issue with the assembly, the building. It's the mold lines. I always miss one. I find them so tedious.
Yeah.
It just should be. I feel like it should be quicker than it is, and I just always. I find it such a slog to get, especially doing a big build where you're building everything at once. I find it a real fight to get to the end. Did that the Custodies, I did all of them, and I'm going to do that differently next time. I'm just going to do it either 1 or 2 units at a time, because I think for sanity, for me, I just need to get to the paint.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think where
I just find it really hard going.
I think where I struggle is going from like the building phase to the painting and then back to the building phase. So because you kind of mocked me a little bit when I was doing James's Fist, because I just kept building and building and building. You're like, is there any danger of paint getting anywhere near these guys? But
I think you just had a glue problem.
Let's build more.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Yeah, it's funny. I think probably 90% of painters would say the same. They just don't enjoy the building. Do you think it's because the models are too complex now? There are too many parts?
No, not at all. I just no. It's not the building. It's more the prep that I find frustrating. The mold line removal, the tedious cleaning every piece. I think if there were no mold lines, I'd quite happily just slap it together.
Right.
I don't find the models overly complicated. And you can see in some ways, I think I've heard recently, and I know from a couple of my other builds, that the new models they seem to be thinking about it a lot more.
Okay.
Like, you do well to find the mold line on any of the new push fit Terminators.
Okay.
They're really well. And my mate just did the new Stormcaller, and he says, it's just a lot of the mold lines and everything are all hidden in other parts.
That's good.
So it's
really good.
It's quite clean to put together. So, but that's not always possible. But it's like when you get a mold line right down the middle.
Yeah.
Of like the marine foot.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
trying to get rid of it. It's just
In the most prominent place.
Forever. Or across the coil, a plasma coil. I hate it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, why
Yeah,
is that there? I'm surely there could be something else.
And
They're so hard to clean up.
It's the marine outriders. You know, the bikes, they have that, they literally come together in the center of the chassis, and it's the most eye-drawing part of the model, and there's always this huge gap to fill, and
huge gap.
James is nodding. He's like,
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I will say is, having looked at lots of pictures of people's painted minis and stuff on Instagram and other places, I have noticed some have these lines on, and I was wondering, why is there a line there? But they obviously haven't gone to the extra trouble to remove the mold line or whatever. But it does catch your eye if you don't get rid of that, because I thought, what's that doing there? It doesn't look right.
Yeah.
So I can see why you need to spend the extra time. Just not something I would do because I prefer to get people very highly skilled to do this work for me.
Yeah.
That
when
was
you
a
find
nice
that person,
plug. Yeah. That was a good
Yeah.
plug.
sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
I shouldn't. I can't help myself.
Yeah, I think it is just
Nice.
one of those one of the first things that you learn quite quickly is when you're looking at like Instagram or whatever, it does very quickly separate like the start of a good job to a not so good job. Is if those mold lines are still there, it just kind of takes you out of the immersion a bit, doesn't it? Because you think your brain is trying to think, well, why is that line? Is that supposed to be there? Is that not there? And like the gun barrels that people have or haven't drilled those out, that's another one that draws attention.
Yeah, exactly. I was
50-50.
shocked at how much it affected the view. Like you say, I know that these are just little toys, but where the mold lines were still there, it was that much more obvious. It was weird how it plays a trick on your brain.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, James, what's your answer?
Some kind of spray gun, scatter gun approach, doing all 50, tie-dye effect. Just
and a big winner.
blasting them. Yeah. There's no way I can concentrate for 50 hours on something fine detail like that. My brain would just implode. I'd go into some kind of strange trance and never wake up again, I think.
Blue's good for that, James.
Yeah, true.
Cool. Nice.
Cool.
Thanks very much.
We've got one more if you'd like to
Yeah,
go.
go on, Dan. Let's have one more.
All right. So you're playing in a tournament. Would you rather face the exact same faction 3 times in a row? Or would you rather face 3 completely different armies?
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Steve, our tournament professional.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you come to me first. I've got a lot to add to this topic. So, if you take on the same opponent, you're obviously going to learn and maybe be bit better, but then they're going to learn your tactics. So it's sort of going to be probably going to play out pretty similar 3 times. That doesn't sound very interesting. So yeah, I think I'd take 3 different opponents just for the enjoyment factor.
Should we go, James?
Yeah,
I think I'd say the same. As much as, if it was a faction that I thought I was a good match against and I might win 3 out of 3 times, it would get a bit boring and we want to have some fun. As much as I do want to win, I think I'd rather play 3 different factions and just take my chances. More fun.
Yeah. Cool. And Matt?
I think I take 3 different ones. I like the variety. Sometimes it's just nice playing different factions, different players as well. They all play slightly differently. So I'll take 3 different factions.
Nice.
That was an easy one.
Us tournament gamers, we're all of the same mind, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Oh, thanks for that.
That's what I do.
Nice. So we'll just do a quick recap on everyone's week. What's everyone been up to? How about you, James? You want to jump in?
I've been sat watching my laptop quite a lot this week.
Anything Warhammer related?
Because it has been heavily Warhammer related, not so much work related. The World Tournament Championship for Warhammer 40k has been on, and I've been sort of semi-addicted. I've got to say,
nice.
It's just good fun, and it's really nice. There's about 50 different countries there. It's like Hong Kong, Malta, any country you can think of. They've got a team there, and it makes you sort of realize, this hobby really is literally a worldwide hobby. You can basically go to any country and there'll be a gaming store somewhere in that city, in that country.
The Vatican?
There wasn't a Vatican team, but I bet they're into Warhammer. I bet
they play sisters.
Yeah, they'll be sisters for sure. But yeah, it was nice. Good fun. Picked up a few tips along the way.
What did you pick up?
Just good fun. Kind of the idea that sometimes it might be worth the risk of not having quite such a balanced list, and accepting that, say you're going to play 5 matches in a tournament, accept that one of those you might lose really badly.
Right.
If you happen to be playing against Imperial Knights, you're going to take a drubbing. You think, okay, well, I'll just take my medicine. But know that you'll be much better placed to face other factions, rather than trying to beat everyone, because that's difficult. It's hard to develop a list that can beat every other army. So yeah, maybe to be slightly unhinged, unbalanced, is a good thing at times.
That seems to be a bit of a common topic. Do you try and create a very balanced army, or do you sort of lean into a particular rule that's doing well, or a particular unit that is quite powerful at the moment? So you think it's maybe better to lean into something that more just like unbalanced, I suppose?
Yeah, not going completely all in for one direction, but maybe lean towards something. So you think, right, if I against those 10 factions, I know I'm going to do pretty well.
Yeah.
But against those 4, maybe I'm going to have a hard time.
Right.
Rather than 50-50 against everyone. But then you can get done over by the draw. You might end up playing those 4 factions that you're going to be bad against, and could take 4 or 5 drubbings. But it's all part of the fun.
It makes me think of, I wasn't a particularly big player, but if you ever played like FIFA or something as a kid, all the players had, they had those little power ratings or whatever. And, you'd get some players that were like an 8 all across the board. And you get some players that were like 6 in something, a 10 in another. It's a little bit like that, isn't it? Like, how do you decide like where you're going to apply the force?
Massive. About 300 nerds there, all loving life, all geeking out, and all speaking English as a rule of the tournament. China, Finland, Japan, Switzerland, whatever, everyone's speaking English better than we do. But interestingly, lots of them were saying, I heard a few of the players saying they got into playing Warhammer speaking English. So it's almost like it already is the international language for Warhammer. I wouldn't be surprised if sometimes when they go to their local club, when they're playing Warhammer, they'll speak in English.
Wow.
A lot of the time.
That's quite cool. That's
So
interesting.
that they then, nice little. I've got a little bit more to watch. I'll watch a bit more later on. I've saved it up.
Nice. How does it? And this can sound really naive. Like, what's the format then? How does it work? If do you have like a team from each company, each country?
Yeah. So each country sends 8 players, and they're kind of in seeded blocks. There's 4 tiers of seeding. So in the top tier, there's, I think, France, United States, of course, Germany, Belgium, a few others. So they all each played a second tier team and then a third tier, and everyone ends up playing kind of a bit of a cross section. But then as the tournament went on, the teams that were undefeated start playing each other.
Right.
So you can end up with an overall winner. So yes, from each of those 8 players, play 8 players. You have to take 8 different armies. You can't take 8 Space Wolves.
Okay.
Sorry, Matt, sadly. You have to take a variety. All has to be different. And then each game you can score anywhere between 20-0 or a 10-10 draw. And so then all the points from each game are added up, and you get a final score of like 86-65 or whatever it might be. Yes, those nerds have thought it through. It's a good little system. It all works really well.
Right. How does it work with watching it? Is there like a camera team that will go around and then they'll edit the highlights, or are you just like live streaming one particular game?
live stream, I think there's like 8 or 10 streamers there
Yeah.
from different countries, like from France, Germany, whatever. And the cameras are kind of, some of them have got static cameras, like overhead and side angles. Some of the tables have got little cameras moving around on rails to get kind of close-up shots. Yeah, it's really clever, quite high-tech setups.
Wow. That's very cool.
You can zoom in on the minis and stuff and get those kind of semi-cinematic shots where it's sort of you're down at miniature eye view. You've got some big, horrible sort of Norn Tyrannid looming over the top of some little marines and stuff. It's good. It's good fun.
That sounds good. Yeah, it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's been my life this week.
Good. And I'm glad there's not been any danger of you doing any of your normal jobs.
God, no. Ridiculous. That's on the back burner. Forget about that.
It's all right. He's retiring soon.
Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah, I too have been dabbling in the live streams, although I found it more of a hard watch. I find it I like my 40k games in 40 minutes. You know, when because there are a couple of tabletop tactics when you do it, I quite like it condensed because sometimes I just find this. I was watching one, and then I took a break. I had to go do something for a couple of hours, and I came back. It was the same game. And it was only the bottom of turn 2, and I'm just like, "What have you been doing for 2 hours?" So I found some of them a wee bit slow. Some of them are a bit more fast paced, but some interesting tips and tactics. That one that caught me out was a Votan Nids game. It wasn't Nids because they were using the tunneling stratagem. So to give him a bit of cover in the battlefield, he was charging some Jaegers, but not that all the Jaegers could make it. So he just stretched the unit out. So the ones that couldn't make the charge, they were still in coherency, but he left them in the backfield. Yeah, so the ones that could reach got into combat, but he had that unit dragged out at the back of him. Now, my instinct would move the whole unit, and the ones that don't fight. But I would never think to reconfigure the unit on the charge to give you that, because the tunnels can't come up within 9 inches like Deep Strike. So by just doing that, he was protecting his backfield, and I'm just like, I would never have thought to do that.
Yeah, there's some clever little bits.
There's some clever ways they kind of move around the board and kind of not manipulate, but they think a lot more about how they're kind of engaging. So I've been watching a bit of that on and off. Been painting as usual, paint a lot. We had a couple of completions, finished some custom head takers for Blasted, which was a really nice little unit to finish.
They look really nice.
A little bit more work done on Magnus. Yeah, they were just, it's nice. That's nice. I'm using a different streaking grime as well. It's still AK, but it's the Panzer one for dark grey, and it works better with the blue tones rather than the brown of the typical streaking grime, which is good for the kind of yellows and oranges. So it's quite nice to use that and see how that works on that. So that was quite good. Got a bit more work done on Magnus. Got him built and primed, ready for this week. Try and get the base layers down. Bit more work on my own Space Wolves, starting my Grey Hunters, which is quite nice. Start sort of pushing them out, and try to feed a bit more lore into them. So with them being the kind of more veteran units to the Blood Claws, I've used the same armor recipe, but then just pushed the weathering a bit further, just so they look like they're a wee bit older. So that worked out quite well. So I'm pushing on with them this week, and I also rolled some dice for a change. So we actually played some games this week. I've been teaching my son how to play. So I've been playing Combat Patrol games with him, and then yesterday I had a 700-point game with mate of mine, Michael. We played he's got Emperor's Children. No, World Eaters. We played World Eaters yesterday, and I narrowly lost. It came down to 2 Berserkers and a Terminator. I just had to hold on, and I died. So it was a close one. But that was good for it. So, busy all week at the desk.
Yeah, you've certainly been putting your hands up for the commissions since you come back from holiday.
Definitely.
You obviously were missing the brushes.
Love it. Mad for it.
Yeah.
I was because it's I find it such an outlet, and it's a creative itch. It's just nice to scratch, and it's I do enjoy it very much. So
yeah,
capitalise on that while I can. So pushing quite hard with my own stuff and the commissions, but I'm just getting ready to tackle Logan. Nearly ready to just crack that cellophane and just make a start.
Is there anything putting you off from starting, or is it just time, or you sort of want to get your recipe down?
No, not even time. It's more, I'm still Yeah, I'm still thinking about colours for that. The other side of it is I'm not going to need them until my escalation league goes up another set of points. So we're running at 1,500 points. I've got my first 1,500 point game on Wednesday. But I'm saving him for the 2,000 point bracket. So I don't need them. And I said, well, I'm going to concentrate and try and get the box, the army box done first. And then I still have an armiger to assemble and 5 Terminators that I need for Wednesday. Well, I can use old Terminators, but if I can get the new ones done, that'd be nice. So he's not needed at the minute. So well, and I think I want to make him a bit of a showpiece as well, because the rest of them I've been doing quite not bit better than tabletop. I've been doing them, and I quite like how they're looking. But I think I want him to be a bit of a centerpiece. So I want to make sure I've got time to pour into him.
You're going to use same style, because the rest of your armies.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say speed paint, but you've used some like faster techniques. You can do the same.
Yeah, I do a lot of Zenithal with brush. I do like multiple Zenithal layers with airbrush and a bit of sponging for chipping. But I think because he's the rest of my army, I'm just sticking with Ragnar's company. Well, he's not. He's the Great Wolf Company, so I want him to look a bit. I'm still going back and forth. I think I'm going to try and keep it a bit more dark grey as opposed to the blue hues I have. So he does stand out a little bit, and give him a Terminator guard to match. So like he's just stepping in to help old Ragnar out. So I think I want some same style but a different palette to some extent. So they do look a bit. So I've been leaning into the greens a lot as well with this, my Space Wolves, which are a wee bit different, which I'm quite enjoying. But I want him to look a wee bit different because he is a different company. So I kind of want that distinction.
Yeah, nice. That's quite a nice feature of Space Wolves, is it? Because it is a bit sort of, excuse the term, like ragtag. You could probably get away with having some slightly different tones and colours, and because everyone's doing it a bit differently.
Definitely.
Whereas if you had an Ultramarines army, that wouldn't work.
No. The thing as well, because when you read into every great company is so different and a little bit unique, that you could totally do that. Like I would like to put in like almost like head taker units from each of the companies. And like you have the Sea Wolves would be a darker, like sea green, similar to actually the ones that we did for Blasted. That kind of more deeper sea blue to tie in with the lore and get them all spears instead of axes. So you've got so much you can draw on to really make them quite unique. So it'd be nice to have just like a nice big Space Wolves army with just all the companies, just a little something from each would be quite cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been nice seeing the updates on that on Discord and stuff. It's been good. Nice. Thanks, Matt. Dan, how about yourself?
This week has been buying stuff. So finally got the
caving into the peer pressure from last episode. Wonderful.
So that should arrive Tuesday. So start building it. And then Matt's been kind enough to offer to donate a couple of lictors. So then I've been looking at so what lists use lots of lictors and stuff like that. And so then I was looking at Vanguard, which is like a specific detachment for them, started to build an army list. And I'm like, I should probably aim for 2,000 points, right? And so it's just like, this list is very quickly getting quite long. But I've stopped myself for just now. I figured I should actually build the stuff that I've got on the way first. So then on top of that, I've been watching loads of painting guides from the I'm advertising other people here, sorry mate. The Grimdark Compendium. And it's all the really, really grimy flesh tones and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, then I started looking at buying airbrushes and all the money to pour into all the villainous inks and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be September's purchases. Just get a spray gun, airbrush, so I can get properly started with that, and then start practicing some of these sort of effects, because I think some of the stuff, they can look really cool, but then I don't want to spend 10 hours on a termagant. So I want to see if there's something in between these two levels which might work for these, just because if I've got to be doing that for every single termagant and Ripper in a Tyranid army, I'll probably just chuck it out the window. But yeah, so that's basically been it, is spending money and dreaming of what will be.
Which is a big part of the Warhammer hobby, Dan.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
that
so.
pile doesn't feed itself.
That's
So how much?
that's, sorry.
I was going to say, how much is an airbrush, or is it like asking how long's a piece of string?
So the ones I was looking at, oh God, where was this? I think I worked out roughly I could get something together for about 150 quid, but that would be pretty basic.
I really don't think you need to spend that much, Dan.
No?
I think I think my compressor was 60, and I had an airbrush with it. But then I had a Timu one that I paid 14 quid for.
Yeah,
but, I
you
mean,
mentioned that.
some airbrushes are like 400 or 500 quid just for the brush.
Yeah.
You know?
Some of them some of those were well expensive. So, okay, sorry. So, yeah, because I saw there were some cheaper airbrushes. It was the compressors that I felt were like pushing up that budget.
Yeah, I'll send you like the one I've got. I got it on Amazon, and I'm sure it was 60 quid.
Mate, that'd be wicked. Yeah,
And it's not overly loud because I mean I paint early doors in the house and it doesn't bother anybody. In fact, I can use it and people can still watch TV and not be bothered. But
oh, nice. Yeah, that sounds ideal then.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
All right, yeah, then that will probably be bought slightly earlier than waiting till September in that case. So,
yeah, I mean, similar to Matt, I think I got started with something really inexpensive, humble. I think I had. You might have seen these if you've been looking. You can literally just have like a handheld airbrush. The part that you hold is the battery and the compressor, and it's like a USB plug-in, and the airbrush is just a little part that screws on the top, which you can upgrade if you want to. And that was fine for doing base coats, very basic stuff. And
because I always wonder with these sorts of airbrushes, is it not something like if you don't buy properly, you're going to have to buy it twice, or are the cheap ones actually all right? Basically, what we're saying.
My first airbrush was even worse than Steve's because I used to use genuinely because I used a can of air propellant. It was a compressed can. You get big cans of gas.
Yeah,
and that was what I used when I first started.
Oh,
you couldn't use it. You couldn't use it for an extended period because the can would cool down and the pressure would drop. So you'd have to warm it back up again. And that did me for quite a while because you could buy a can for 11 quid. It was just, and it was okay.
Yeah.
And then I got the little desk one, which still works, and I've used, and I found that once I left that to a compressor, it made a big difference. I felt like I had more control. It was more PSI, which I got better. I felt it was a good step, but I think my next step is I think I will invest in a decent airbrush given the level of detail work that I'm doing now in terms of your small OSL and helping I just use a lot of contrast through the airbrush to help with gradients. So it would make sense to maybe get a more precise, more technical airbrush, but I would not want to spend more than 200 quid on one.
Yeah, fair. Because that's the other side is obviously not knowing that much about them. I'm sort of just investigating, and then you do see some that are going up to like close on £1,000, and I'm just like, I wonder what that gives you in an airbrush. Like, do you just not? Yeah. You just put the paint in, spray it once, and it paints the model for you, maybe.
You would hope so for that amount of money, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah.
Nice. All right. Thanks, Dan. Yeah. Well, when I might have just missed this, did you buy the Leviathan set? Did you say?
Yeah. So that's the Screamer Killer, Neurothorpe, load of Termagants, Neurogaunts, and Barb Gaunts, I think. I can't necessarily remember off the top of my head.
Which I think we talked about this last episode, and the hardcore gamers were saying it's actually not a bad list, right?
Yeah. Yes. No, that's the basics of what you need there. But then depending on what detachment you want to go for, like if you want to eventually go towards the big monster, the Monster Munch Rampage, then you'd have to spend out on your Norns and those type big mamas.
Yeah. Well, that was quite like an idea of reading about how Vanguard's played, where you're basically just sprinting towards the enemy and getting like right in amongst it. And I think, Steve, you've seen me play computer games. That kind of, that's my play style, is to run straight in as fast as you can and get to the middle. So I think that might work quite well. Nothing that requires too much thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be, and it looks great on the table too, doesn't it? Tons of gaunts and gene stealers just flying at the enemy.
Yeah, it should be cool.
Oh.
But yeah, that's everything from me, really.
thanks, Dan. James, I think you and I spoke about this in our little special edition 1-to-1. We were talking about when picking an army, you said to try and think about your gameplay style and let that guide you a little bit.
Yeah. I think there's a definite connection with how you've played computer games, video games for our North American viewers. And whether, like, are you always the wizard? Are you always the sniper? Or are you normally the heavy weapons person? And, you tend to find you always end up leaning towards the same character in those things. And that, I think, also leans towards and all the types of Warhammer, the old world, right through to 40k. It will suit your playstyle. So yeah, if you're always the rush headlong into battle guy,
shoot first, ask questions later, kind of.
Yeah. Stick to that.
100%. That's I always go heavy gunner.
Hence the Space Wolves. Yeah,
and that makes so much sense.
So what's the
Steve sniper?
I think so. You're Wizard Barry.
I'm a wizard.
You know what? It's funny. I've been thinking about that. Since we had that conversation, I have been thinking about that. And I must admit, there's been something very nice about having a fully painted army on my desk. And again, although I don't play, I just thought, it would be nice to have a little painted army, something I could be working on in the background. And I thought, well, if I was to collect an army, what would it be? And I didn't really settle on anything. The first army I ever collected was Ultramarines, which is probably I can see a lot of nodding here. Everyone's going, he's pretty boring. Yeah, that makes sense. And
no, everybody did. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most people do.
And then it was Dark Angels. So yeah, I don't know. I guess my play style is probably somewhere between headlong rushing in and like the sort of sit back and hold the line. It's probably not anything too extreme either way. My play, right.
I think I have a lot of experience of just being sniped from across the map on Blood Gulch on Halo 1 and 2 for like 5 years of my life to know. I think you're probably a sniper. So.
All right. We'll defer to Dan's experience there. All right.
Sorry. What were you thinking?
So is there a faction that just sits back and snipes everyone?
Tau?
Oh, yeah.
Tau.
Maybe.
Well, you could take you could go Space Marine, just have like lots of eliminator squads.
Yeah.
And scouts, because I think scouts can carry snipers as well, so you could just go sniper heavy and get a couple Imperial agents as well. Could you Imperial agents?
Yeah, could you do maybe guard, but just with like I could see you with a back line of just artillery?
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome as well. To be honest, yeah, just come and get us and just shelling the crap out of everyone. Yeah.
Fully set up like right at the back of the table, just to try and give us much space.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I do like a good dreadnought, I must admit.
Yeah, they're hard to bear, isn't it?
Anyway, so I don't know. Watch this space. Maybe we'll find out. Cool. I've not got hobby stuff to report this week. I'll just very quickly say that James's Imperial Fists are done, except for four sets of eye lenses need to be finished off, and there's one heavy intercessor. And I'm still not sure what happened, but there's some weird paint reaction. So he's sat in a cup full of isopropyl alcohol now, being stripped. So he'll need to be redone, but then it's all done. On its way to you, James.
No, I'm holding in my excitement. I'm trying not to think about it almost.
Control yourself, man.
I'm almost trying to pretend they don't exist. And just one day they'll arrive as a wonderful surprise.
Oh, what's this?
Like knocking the door.
So just been putting
we're gonna have to
just been putting the last little finishing touches on those guys, and it sort of has highlighted one little thing that probably will sound familiar to Matt as well, is like, where do you stop? I could tinker and improve and adjust the probably for the next couple of years, just adding a little bit here, a little bit, and then as soon as you add it on one guy, you've got to do
you got to
everybody
carry it
else.
through. Yeah, it's hard knowing when to stop, especially on that style, because I've got two hats. I've got the fine detail hat and then the army painting hat, and it is reining it in, and I find just trying to keep a very simple palette choice of colours. So it's like those head takers, I use one Metallica other than the gunmetal for us, because you can play around and give them all different, and it's just like just one colour, wash it, done, keep moving, because you can sink hours in it just doing and I've actually found, especially things like gemstones as well, because they're such a focal point, that I don't waste time now wet blending in a light and a dark side. I just do a quick wet blend all over, and a wee dot of fluorescent paint just makes it pop, and then you're done.
That's a nice tip.
And it's just little things that please the eye but didn't take a lot of time. I think it really help just keeping it ticking over. But yeah, it's just knowing when to stop.
Yeah, it is tricky, even when you're doing like the sort of the weathering, and for this blasted style, it is a lot quicker. It's airbrush zenithal and then some weathering and stuff, and the oils. And although it's a much faster technique that still gives really like a high level impression of detail, you can still really get drawn in. I'm sponging on the edge of the model to replicate damage, and I think, a little oil streak would be good here. And you've really got to take a step back and just think, no, you're working on a large volume of troops, and it's so easy to get drawn into like ultra focus, hyper focus on one model. Yeah. And then actually when you set them all out together, you realize what it's all about, that impact of all of the models together, not each individual one, like picking up to have a look at them. But I think I probably have overcooked it a little bit in terms of detail.
But it's hard not to.
Yeah, it is hard not to. So I've kind of done 3 layers of weather. So I know.
But
amazing.
It's not. This is the thing that doesn't take time. I do the same thing. I do my zenithal layers, sponge chipping, streak and grime, then I'll sponge chip again to give that 2 layer.
Right.
And it doesn't take any time. You're still talking under an hour for 5 rounds to be armor completely done. And I think that's the way I look at it, is I'm saving so much time.
Yeah.
At that end of it, that I can afford to spend a little bit extra time, like the wood grain on the shields of the head takers I just did.
Yeah.
It didn't take a lot of time because I used that same knackered brush approach I did with the Krieg barrel gun butts.
Yeah.
So effective, but so quick. But just allowing myself that little bit extra time creates that lovely, nice focal point, because you're saving so much time elsewhere. I just think the blasted techniques do speed things up massively. You can actually afford to indulge a little bit. I think it works.
So what point do you... Because particularly for blasted, like Rogue's a bit different, because we have a very quite a strict, I say strict, like a relatively strict approach of, if you pay for this paint tier, you get 3 layers of highlights and 1 layer of, and you pretty much know where that dot highlight's going to go from everyone from across. But with blasted, it's there's a lot more room for sort of creativity and.
It's a bit more subjective.
Yeah. So where do you draw that? Like, how do you figure that out when you're doing it?
I think it really depends on how much you've had from customer in terms of brief. Now that brief, we got really nice, that classic space marine colouring picture with the marine and the pauldrons and head, and that was perfect. I was like, right, I know where I'm going with this, and we didn't have a colour recipe, so I had to figure that out, which is fine. So it really depends, and sometimes like we've had conversations with some of our blasted customers are just like, I'm just sending you the box, I want X space, I don't care what it looks like. To some extent, they're giving us free reign. So it really depends. I think the more we get from customer, that's obviously preferable, because then we know we're going to give them what they want. But I think there's a lot of trust in us as artists to create something. Yeah, and especially when you're giving Space Wolves to a Space Wolves player, know they're going to do it right. Or whatever, Black Templars to somebody who's done them in the past. I think that ties it together. It's I don't know. I think we've got a nice balance. It's everything that's come through so far, or they've got an army already, and they're like, I want it to match this, and you're gonna do that to some extent. So no, I think
no,
I actually like the creative side of it. I like that little bit of freedom. It's quite nice to have that, as well as the rogue side as well.
I know, sorry guys, it's obviously very different when you're dealing with commissions to your own sort of like army. Is there anything stopping you from then going back to, say, a tabletop ready, something that you're like, right, I'm happy with this for now, and coming back at a later date and sort of updating it? Like, it's not going to be locked in by varnishing the model or anything like that. Like, you can keep sort of updating key bits as you improve, right?
Pretty much. I mean, that's literally the thought I've been having this week, because I've been playing with some of the models I painted 2 years ago now that are fine, but obviously I've advanced so much as a painter that I look at them now going, it's not really in the right style, it's a bit sloppy here and there, and I'm thinking, do I change it or do I just park them and move on? So you do sometimes think that, but even in the current stuff, I get it. It's like, okay, that's tabletop, I'm calling it finished. At some point I may go back through and just tidy a few things up and just tweak a few things as I go. I also like what we were talking about the other week about giving honours to your models as you progress.
Really cool
I think that's such a nice idea. So I'm quite keen to also maybe start doing that as well. But you can totally go back. You could repaint it, strip it. It's just plastic and paint at the end of the day.
I was about to say, what would it take for some of these older guys to get dunked in isopropyl then?
Well, that kind of raises a whole other debate, really, is do you repaint older models? Because I'd say there's a real split in the camp around this, because there's a lot of people that say you should never repaint a model because it captures your, it's like a snapshot of where you were at the time.
It's a snapshot.
And particularly, your earliest models. I know a lot of painters that say, I wish I still had the first model that I painted, because it would just be a cool reference, but I repainted it or I stripped it. Some people just want... so Luton09, he's the YouTuber who does like all the lore podcast, the lore YouTube videos. Really, really amazing channel. But he occasionally does like an army focus. So he collects Ultramarines. Got a massive Ultramarine army that he's been collecting since 2nd edition. So he's got all of these really old 2nd edition models that were painted in that traditional Ultramarine, like really bright yellow, really bright blue. And he's never repainted anything. And so when you first look at it, it's almost a bit jarring, because you think, like everything looks really different. And his like modern stuff is quite, I think he's done a couple like really weathered tanks, which look cool on their own, but they don't gel particularly well with the old stuff. But what is awesome about that is he's got this chronological timeline of his whole hobby, basically.
He's got the story.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's funny. I was in that camp. I was like, I'm not going to repaint anything, because I already had quite an okay. I'm coming back at it even after the break. I was still a pretty decent standard that I was happy with. It's just I'm still haven't decided whether or not I'm going to maybe push on and just leave them as is, or something might pop up that might, I could just do with stripping those Terminators and turn them into something else. Because I have pictures. I have something we didn't have back in the day. I mean, I have documentation of what they looked like. So, and my biggest issue is space. So I don't have a lot of space. So I don't have a cabinet. I don't display anything. So I've got to watch, how I can kind of keep all this stuff over. So I don't know. I'm kind of maybe's aye, maybe's no.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think once it's gone, isn't it? Lots of, because I think we've all left the hobby and have come back. There's some, like, I'd like it if there was still a few editions of the old White Dwarfs knocking around that I had. I don't know why, but it'd just be cool to be able to get one of those out and look back, and once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
I think we might have a bunch of old ones knocking around. I'll see if we can dig them out, because that would be quite an interesting thing to go through on here. But did he be? Okay, never mind.
So I dug them out about a year ago, and just out of curiosity, really. It was really nice. It was kind of like being reunited with old friends. And then after about a week, I thought, well, am I going to do with them now? Like, I'm not going to display them anywhere. They were all mostly in bits. So yeah, I just thought I took pictures of everything. Just like Matt says, it's not a lot of difference between a really high quality picture and, being able to pick something up and hold it. They were all lead. They were all kind of chipped and falling apart. And I thought, you know what, if someone else can take this and actually use it, I'd rather someone else going to play with them and get some use out of them. So I think I kept one.
Yeah.
And there were some horrible ropey old conversions in there as well, kit bashes, and
Nice.
I just thought I'll just be lugging these around forever just for nostalgia. But yeah, so eBayed it.
Yeah.
I eBayed all my stuff, all gone.
There's definitely an Instagram channel. I cannot remember the life of it. I'll see if I can find it after and stick it in like the show notes. But it's like called Warhammer Nostalgia or something along that, and it will literally just post like, do you remember on White Dwarfs they'd have the big back photo, which would be some diorama, but all the standard old Space Marines all stood in the exact same pose.
Awesome.
But it's quite cool. It's a little blast from the past. You're like, I remember that.
James, do you regret, because you
cool.
sold off a load of stuff, James, didn't you, before you sort of properly got back into it? Do you regret selling all your stuff?
No, because, well, maybe I will do one day, but it was all fantasy stuff. And I didn't want to get back into playing Old World as it is now.
Yeah.
So I had that same view of like, someone's really going to enjoy these. There's someone out there who loves playing Old World, and they can't get hold of these out of production lead minis anymore. They're going to really adore these and actually paint them properly, unlike I would have done. So it's like a bit of a win-win. Someone's got a nice little something. I've got a little bit of extra cash, and that cash has gone towards my new army. So yeah, right decision for me.
You were really surprised by how much you got for them as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, my reintroduction into Warhammer, I was shocked at how it feels like it's a lot bigger than it used to be. I don't know if it's just because being a nerd is kind of semi-cool now, and so people are a bit more open about talking about being a nerd, or if the game has just got a lot bigger. I mean, Games Workshop are a massive company, aren't they? They're on a FTSE 100. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
When I realised that.
Yeah.
Just how huge the whole thing's become. But yeah, I mean, people are. I can't remember some of the figures. I think the Anvil of Doom sold for like £150 or £200 or something.
Wow.
Yeah, people loved it all.
It was a cool
Even
model.
the Man of War stuff. Does anyone remember Man of War?
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, people were mad for that. People were scrabbling to buy my Plaguecaster Nurgle little ships and stuff.
It's mad. No,
So there's someone out there still playing Man of War.
Yeah. Or at least collecting it and displaying it, we hope. I'm just hoarding it. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, sorry, Dan, all gone. Bar one. I don't know about your. Yeah, I don't know about your stuff. Anyway, I've kept one Dark Angel Sergeant just as a little. And I sort of vaguely considered maybe at one point I'll repaint him, but who knows?
Yeah,
awesome.
I think it's going to be a matter of time until Steve's like, "Yeah, I bit the bullet."
Yeah,
yeah.
My first Dark Angels are arriving next week.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything, but it's happening, isn't it? Let's face it, it's happening.
It's happening. Oh, it's definitely happening. It's definitely happening.
Yeah,
no danger.
I don't know. My
I'll send you a message independently, boys, and we'll start a sweepstake as to when it'll happen. If we all put a pound in or something.
Yeah, and what?
Get Connor in on it. We'll see how long it takes.
Yeah, and what faction it'll be.
Well, it took me 3 weeks from going for like, I might look at buying a combat box for Tyranids just to sort of like, get vaguely back into it to planning out a 2,000 point army. So
it's so easy. It's so quick. It's frightening how quick you slip.
And you've already got all the paints and the brushes,
As James described it a while back, it's the Warhammer whirlpool.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you're in, there's no escape.
I think we're all living proof of that now.
So we've got a little new release we're going to have a quick look at, won't we?
Yes, let's check it out.
Squats.
Apparently,
space squats.
Squats is now a non-politically correct term, which is one of the reasons they changed the name
it?
to Votan.
Oh, well, I do
Yeah.
apologise to anyone that's just been
really?
offended by that term.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for people listening, this is the update from the 4th of August from Games Workshop, just about the new League of Votan Army rules coming in. I'm not too sure what kind of impact these guys this will have. I was hoping James or Matt, we could lean on your expertise here. So
Well,
this
I know-
is the prioritised efficiency.
Yeah, I know that obviously they did have the grudge token system, and that's been scrapped, which was at
Okay.
times sort of very powerful. And
How did
fairly
that work, if
straight.
you don't mind me asking?
The basics of it, I think at the start of the game, they could nominate, I think it was 4 units of the opposition to give a grudge token to. And invariably, you'd probably pick the 4 most dangerous, troublesome units. And you got a bit of a bonus if a unit was marked grudged. But once you became double judged, judgment token, I think it then became sort of +1 to wound against that unit, which is massive, really. You know, that makes a huge difference. Whereas now, this new system, they're a bit more incentivized to go out, to push out from their deployment zone, and take objectives and things, because they then earn, I don't know what the points are called now, they're called something else, but they earn a certain number of points. I think once they get to 7, they then power up to their next army rule. So I think it will
So is this the yield points, I think they
yield
call it now?
points, that's it.
Hmm.
See, I don't know tons about it, but I think it will change how they play, because I mean a lot of their guns and things haven't got massive range. A lot of them are only sort of 24 inches. So I think it's going to incentivize Votan players to be a bit more aggressive in the first few rounds, battle rounds.
So, yeah, so from someone who obviously is still just getting familiar with the game, hasn't played in quite a long time, it sounds like, from what you're saying, this is just incentivizing them, not just turtling up behind sort of like scenery on their sort of deployment area, basically.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's quite fluffy.
Anything that particularly... Sorry, go for it.
I was going to say it's quite fluffy because it you know, it's the idea is that they're going out to try and gather up more resources and hoard them for themselves, and while they're then holding those objectives, they then get powered up. So it's kind of a dwarfy type, little lore accurate type thing.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. Is there anything in there so far that's made you sort of like rethink your tactic at all for the upcoming tournament? Anything that's worried you?
No, not really. Not specific to Votan. I mean, I'm kind of hitting and hoping anyway. Let's face it, aren't I? You know, I'm in. I'm in at the deep end. It's fingers crossed. But no, nothing particular. Nothing's going to change my tactic that I would play against them. Other than I know there's more chance. I suppose it telegraphs their tactics a little bit. You kind of know that they're likely to want to push forward with some of the little more skirmishy units that they have. And if you can stay on top of them, you can stop them from powering up to their next level of army rule. So it maybe telegraphs their tactics slightly.
Okay, cool.
But we'll see.
We can check out the combat patrol as well.
Let's have a look at the box.
Yeah, it's
Actually, a really nice box, no?
I mean, the last box was really nice as well. There are a couple of big changes, I think, because they've dropped the Chthonian Berserkers and the Hearthkin Pioneers out of the box. And the Khal as well, because you were getting Uthar the Destined in the original combat patrol. So that's all gone now. So, but you are getting the Thunderkin, which are the top left.
These guys.
Yeah, and then you've also got the Hearthguard there as well, which are pretty stocky. So they're nice units, which arguably were probably missing from the original Combat Patrol. But it's quite interesting they dropped Uthar the Destined, because I thought it was unless he's still a build option, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know not a lot of the competitive players take Uthar. I'm not sure why.
Yeah,
They don't really favour him. Yeah, if you managed to get if you already had the old Combat Patrol box and then you bought this,
yeah,
you'd have a good
mix,
wouldn't
a
you?
good addition, which is maybe what they thought.
Yeah. They're definitely Games Workshop are definitely pushing these guys. I mean, these minis, they just look bloody great, don't they? How do you think they'd be to paint, Steve?
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
They're great. Yeah, they're really enjoyable units to paint. Then they are the kind of model that will do well with kind of whatever style you throw at them. So you could do them in quite a sort of box arty, clean cut style. Obviously, they look great here. Yep. But they also lend themselves, because they've got lots of detail and different textures and stuff. They lend themselves quite well to like speed techniques, and even if you wanted to throw some real basic like slap chop stuff at them, if you really wanted to get them out on the table super quick, they'd still come out pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I've actually got the Combat Patrol, the old one, and a Sangatur and 2 other boxes of Warriors as well. Well, why not? Because I'm playing a bit more Combat Patrol, the young lad. I've been pushing to get it assembled, but I did paint Uthar, and I see they're really lovely models to paint. And I did it's very similar to the Wolves. I just swapped the blue for oranges and worked it up from a purple base coat, and it just, even at that size, they just really do lend themselves to so many different ways to paint them. It really was a fun paint. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck into the rest of them, actually.
Because that's, from a modelling point of view, do they feel smaller when you are sort of like looking at them?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like for real?
Yeah.
That seems such a shame, because they do look so like bulky and quite intricate. You almost just wish they weren't a bit bigger.
To be honest,
it defeats the point. But
they're a bit of both, because when I came back, all I did was paint Marines, and then at Christmas I got like one of the older starter sets for our kill team that had the Orcs and the Krieg, and I started painting the Krieg, and they were so small. And then suddenly Marine feels like huge,
massive. Yeah,
I had the same.
And these are kind of somewhere in the middle.
I had the same experience with Sisters of Battle. I painted a squad of those, and all of a sudden the Marines just felt like these huge statues.
And in some ways, it's quite good to do that. Just for your own painting development, but they're kind of halfway. There is some very small intricate elements, but again, they've got quite good armor panels. I quite like the different textures where you've got your power armor effectively, but then the cloth elements as well. I think help break it up. I love the aesthetic of the Votan. I always have, so I'm quite excited about these new models. I'm quite keen to get a little army on the go soon at some point.
Nice,
maybe after my nights.
Ginger beards, ginger beards or grey beards?
Oh, I like all the colours. I like all the beards of the rainbow.
Nice.
Awesome.
We got to have a few dingers in there.
Brilliant. Yeah,
but no, I'm quite excited for this lot, actually, and I'm keen to see how they perform on the table as well. I think they are looking pretty good. So I'm just
very briefly on that point. I'm just thinking back to their release. There was, and again, I wasn't gaming at the time, and still not, but there was a few memes going around that everyone rushed out to buy the army, and then did they change the rules very quickly that made them a lot less powerful, and people got annoyed, or?
Oh, I can't remember.
Just completely.
I could hear someone talking about Votan the other day. No, you might be right. I think I heard someone saying something about that, but
it's
for sure. Right now, they're powerful.
Right,
They're definitely a strong army. And there's a German fella, Tim Schneider, who's like Mr. Votan. He's developed a couple of army lists, which lots of people are copying. It's doing really well. It's in the gaming world, they're good
models. Look at them.
Yeah, they are cool. I've got to
I think
say.
these are what we were.
They're cool.
Yeah.
I've got the kill
These
team as
funny
well
mole
with their big
mines.
jackets. They're awesome. They're like.
It's a very cohesive
I'm quite
faction,
excited.
isn't it? They all look very, you know,
Really
they all
nice.
look part of the same army. They look good on the tabletop
Yep.
and stuff. I think Connor and I were talking about this. He was saying because it's a very new range, there's no sort of old resin models lurking in there anywhere and stuff that needing an update. It's all pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice. All right.
Who do you reckon's? I mean, this could be a whole episode, but who do you reckon's probably most in need of an update at the moment?
Oh yeah, we're not touching that, Dan.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, do you know?
We'll save it for next week, then, shall
Well,
we?
Grey Knights, if you ask me. I think that range is desperately
Grey
needed.
That's a
Knights.
very good early shout. Yeah, Grey Knights are
Yeah.
desperately in need, aren't they? Especially if they're going to
Terminus.
enact certain parchments.
Terminus protocol.
Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. So the setup for next episode is come back next week to find out if it's the Grey Knights
Yeah.
that need the biggest update.
Yeah, that would be a good
Nice,
topic, I
okay.
think. Be a good topic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wicked.
that's
Um,
interesting.
Cool.
All right. Well,
Okay.
that's been a happy little adventure through our hobby. I think unless anyone has anything burning they'd like to get off the chest this week, I think we'll leave it there.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Shaking of heads. Wonderful. Well, thanks very much for listening in. We appreciate it. And we will catch you next time on Rogue and Blasted. Thanks very
guys.
much.
See you next
Thanks,
time.
guys.
See you later, guys.
See you later.
Rogue transmission ending.